Oh, exciting times, people. We got ourselves a big football game. Rico, thank you again for taking care of Seattle. We welcome Thomas John Lang to the main stage. TJ, this is the biggest Lions game since
last
when?
week.
That's what I said.
No. Hold on. Don't you think last week was the qualifier to play in a big game? Like now this is legit. They can tie Seattle. They can be the graphic. This is it.
Last week felt like a playoff game. I mean, it did, and I think that's where they are. You know, if they lose, I mean, yeah, you could maybe still get some help, but I think they're, that's the mindset in that building right now. They know that. They know that if they lose, they probably won't have a shot at the postseason. If they keep winning, they'll be okay. But no, I mean, I was nervous last week. I'm nervous again this week. I mean, look, it's the NFL. It doesn't matter if you're we just saw last week a 10-win team or a 5-win team. Anybody can win. Anybody can lose. And, the Lions have been playing some really good football, obviously the past month and a half, but there's always a part of me where it's like, something's going to catch up to you at some point. It's the NFL. You're not just going to go out there and roll every single team. Was there bad luck, all the bad bounces? Did that just come in flurries, throughout the first 7 games? Did they get rid of all that? Or they still do for, something weird happening? And you're always prepared for that. So for me, it's like, yes, do I think they're a better football team than the Jets? I do. But there's always that element of it's still the NFL, man.
Weird
things
is.
Still
Think
happen.
about this. I was watching the game last night when the Niners beat the Seahawks, and it's like the Seahawks and the Lions were the same team, just reversed. Seahawks came out the gate, and we were talking about their draft picks and all these young guys out there playing, and they're just looking like, they're going to get Geno Smith. Could this guy be MVP? He's one of the best quarterbacks. And then, as you said, water found its level. Lions rising up like this, TJ, maybe could they be this year's Cincinnati Bengals, who just got hot? Everybody remember Cincinnati, and I'm not saying they're going to the Super Bowl, guys. I'm saying Cincinnati got hot.
Yeah, they weren't.
They
supposed
were
to
an
be
average
where they were
team last year. They weren't like 13-3. Yeah. They were pretty average. I think they had 9 wins. I think.
Yeah, and I think they were. Gosh, they were this part of the season. I think they were similar, either 6-7 or 7-6. So, yeah, I mean, when you look at it though, guys, the Lions have they been playing like a top 5 team really the last 6 weeks? They have. They have. Jared Goff's been playing like a top 5 quarterback. Their offense has been playing well. The defense look, I know, Cousins and Jefferson had a bunch of stats last week, but that game was never really close to where you were like, oh, this is close. Like, you know what I mean? They felt like the better team from the kickoff. And
right now, if they played Minnesota in a playoff game, I'd pick the Lions. So I agree with you.
And that's what I'm saying.
I'm just saying, going on the road in December, TJ, you can draw upon your experiences, certainly not here in Detroit. I'm saying when you were with the Pack, how effing hard it is to win on the road in December when you're playing a team that's desperate. That's the Jets.
Yeah.
This would be a graduation moment for Dan Campbell and this team that, hey, the last 6 weeks has been a blast. It's been fun. You win this game, you're real. We put a little pin on your jacket. That's how I view it. This is the ultimate test for them because this is a game as a former player, this is a game they're supposed to lose.
Yeah, but even if they come out with a win, we're going to be saying the same thing next week. And I agree with your point, Mike, but I felt that same way Monday coming out of the Vikings game. I felt like, hey, you win that game. I feel like exactly what you're describing right now. This is a real team. They do have a real shot.
Yeah.
Now, we know that, the season's nowhere close to being done, but that, for me, removed all the doubts that I had about, is this team real, right? What we've seen the last month, is that a flash in the pan, or have they really turned a corner? Is this who they are? Monday, just a couple days ago after that Vikings game, I'm sitting here saying this is who they are. Like, they're a damn good football team, man, when they play like that. But just to go back to, you made that first reference, Mike, and even, 2017 here in Detroit, we had a pretty good season. I think we were expected to go to the playoffs. Right around the same time of the year, we went to Cincinnati. Cincinnati at the time, I think, was maybe a 3-win football team.
This
And
was
we
the
went out
Christmas
there-
Eve game,
yeah,
wasn't
and
it?
we went out there and we laid an egg, and that was the loss that essentially knocked us out of the playoffs. We still finished 9-7, but just to your point, I mean, it is hard this late in the season going on the road, right? I mean, it's weird things happen in the NFL. That's why even a couple weeks ago with Jacksonville, whoever it was, like I'm never 100% confident that a team's going to win. Weird stuff happens on Sundays in the NFL.
Yeah.
Games are really hard to win,
but
and we saw
TJ,
it last week too. I mean,
they know their formula. They know
They do,
Goff,
right.
go out there because there's not that one guy. I mean, we see St. Brown, but Goff spreads the ball around, whether it's out of the backfield, hitting his receivers, the tight ends. Don't throw interceptions, throw the ball away, lean on your defense, and win this game. And that formula is working. And when I look at these teams that they have to play, like if there was one that I was worried about getting ahead of ourselves, I think it's next week. But this week, Jets, Wilson, sorry. I'm confident they go in there and they get the W.
Yeah, the whole Wilson thing for me, honestly, kind of not really spooks me, but you're sitting there at the same time you're saying, okay, this young quarterback just got benched. He gets a chance to come back and play and turn what most likely will be his career around, in this game.
TJ,
That's like I would leading up to this week, I'm sitting there all week, I'm like, I would rather play a beaten, battered Mike White. Because with Zach Wilson, you have all this extra motivation that comes, and it's like I know what his career has been, and even his last game. I mean, if you want to put yourself through pain for an hour, go back and watch that Jets-Patriots game from a month ago. That was one of the worst football games ever. But it's just that it's everything that comes outside of that. Zach Wilson coming back. This is his moment to prove, that he's the number 2 pick, prove that he's a franchise quarterback. That, for me, that little extra added storyline there is just like, oh, man, I would have rather played, a beaten Mike White, man.
I think this is his Baker Mayfield moment where I feel like after this game, he will officially lose the team, that he's done. Like when Mayfield was with the Browns and they loved him at first, and then all of a sudden he just lost it. He was back and forth. This is his moment. He's going to go out in this game, and he's going to try, I think, to do too much to try to win them all back in 60 minutes, and he's going to fall on his face.
Well, Mike, you're
Guys,
out in New York.
it's two sides to the coin, and both of you are right. Look, understand something. The answer is going to be one of what the two of you are saying. Neither are wrong. And TJ, I worry like you do because the worst thing for someone like Zach Wilson is humility. Like sometimes in life, you got to get brought to your knees in order to figure it all out, right? He got humiliated. He had to walk in, apologize to a locker room of largely people who hate your guts, and attempt to earn the respect back. Now, TJ, you could speak to how that speech goes. I would have no idea. I think if it goes poorly, Rico's right. His career's over. If it goes well, he's reclaimed everything.
Right.
And that does scare me a little bit.
Yeah.
But I both of you are right.
Yeah, there's no in between, I don't think. I think
No.
Zach either comes out and plays with his hair on fire and just lights it up and kind of gets everybody
What were you
back on his
asking me,
side, or-
TJ?
Oh,
I'm
no, I
sorry
was
to
just
cut
saying,
you off there, buddy. Go ahead.
I obviously listen to you guys sometime, and you being out in New York, you talk to Boomer, and the one thing that I always hear Boomer say about Zach Wilson is immature. Like, that's a word that always comes up. So for me, it's like maybe Zach Wilson is immature enough to hold a grudge and be, a spiteful little spoiled brat that he's just like, no, screw you guys. Like, you threw me to the curb, and he just wants to burn that place down. That's the Zach Wilson I want to see on Sunday.
Right. I don't think you're gonna. I don't. But no, here's my one question though, TJ. Like when you've watched the Jets and broken it down, like their defense, yes, Sauce Gardner, and look, Quinnen Williams not playing this week is huge. I will be stunned if he plays. But what has been the secret where they've taken this leap and forget about just being good. TJ, they've largely shut down the Buffalo Bills twice. Like, what is it about them that does it?
It's wild because they're not some exotic scheme. I mean, Robert Saleh came from, Seattle and Pete Carroll's system when they were, had the Legion of Boom and all those badass DBs and everything they do looks very simplified. I mean, it's 4-man rush, it's cover 3, it's don't let up the explosive plays, and you see the defensive line and there are those wide techniques that you see San Fran doing. it makes it hard on an offense to not only find holes and find gaps in the run game, but the protection schemes. I mean, it's just weird watching. Like Quinnen Williams is a dude, man. I mean, he's a top 3 D tackle in this league, and if he doesn't play, I mean, I'm telling you that'll be great for the Lions. But even
hasn't practiced all week.
Yeah, and I think even Saleh today said he was 50-50 for Sunday, so that's going to sound like a game time decision. But and even if he does play, a little bit less healthy than what he has been, I mean, I like the chances of the Lions' offensive line matching up with him. I think that's strength on strength. Jonah Jackson, Quinnen Williams, that'll be a hell of a battle to watch. I hope we get to see it.